welcome to Tome of Uselessness. I'm Dan.
I'm Devon.
And today we're doing an episode in our intermittent series of Devon Explains Something That I Have No Idea About.
I'm so excited. Dan.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
I mean, I hope so. I honestly have no idea what you're about to talk about.
Okay. What is your favorite thing in the whole entire world?
I mean...
Let me answer for you.
Oh, okay, sorry.
YouTube drama.
I mean, that's my second.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's your first favorite?
I mean, maybe something like chocolate.
Oh, okay. That's fine. But you know you love the YouTube drama.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely up there.
So recently, I watched a 5-hour and 45-minute documentary about a long-standing YouTube feud.
Nice.
Well, I watched it over several days, obviously. And it's the most petty and childish fight. Like, I don't think I could make up an altercation that was more petty than this one is in real life.
Nice.
I guess I should start out quick by just shouting out the YouTuber who made this video.
Sure, that sounds very in-depth.
In case anybody wants to watch it themselves. The YouTuber's name is Bowblax, Bowblax. And he made this video about 2 months ago. So I do have a little bit of an update on the most recent drama that has occurred.
Excellent.
Since then. So let me set the stage for you, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
This is about Ethan Klein from H3H3 versus Keem from Keemstar, aka Drama Alert. Are you familiar with either of these people?
No, I think I've watched maybe one of the H3H3 production videos, like ever.
Okay.
But I don't know the people, and I'm not familiar with the other person, sorry.
So let me start with our cast of characters that I will mention in this summary. So H3H3 is a YouTube channel. They do podcasts where they interview people sometimes. They have several different podcasts. I think they used to make kind of more like old school YouTube stuff in the past, but most of their content now is podcasts that they film and put on YouTube. So they do the H3 podcast, which they're talking about topical things happening in the YouTube community. There is a side project called Frenemies, which has recently died. And it was replaced with Families. Not really relevant. And then there's H3 After Dark, which is a little bit more mature subject matter. Not mature in the way that they use more nuance and talk about more complex ideas, but mature in the way that they swear sometimes. And then there's also another podcast called Off the Rails, where they kind of rant about whatever is on their mind at the time.
Right.
So H3H3 is run by Ethan Klein and his wife, Ela. And they have a son together named Theodore, which is only semi-relevant. And Ela also has a clothing line called Teddy Fresh, which is named after their son, I think. Or the other way around, not sure.
Fair enough.
Okay, so these are players, the first set of players. Next we have Keemstar, who runs Drama Alert. I believe he started in the Call of Duty, like, Let's Play realm, and then shifted over to doing, well, he calls it journalism.
All right.
But he's mostly he's commenting on drama that's going on in the YouTube community. He has a reputation for being evil. I don't know how else to say that.
I mean, it's interesting if you're trying to be a journalist.
Yeah. So those are our three primary characters. We have some secondary characters that I will mention along the way. Leafy is a friend of Keemstar who recently had his YouTube channel taken away. He does commentary videos, and in the past, his videos used to just be bullying children, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like... Oh, sorry.
That doesn't sound good?
Well, I'll say it doesn't sound like something YouTube wants to keep around.
Yeah, like, that was his, like, 2016 content. I have been told that I've heard that it has changed recently, but now he doesn't have a channel, so I couldn't really look it up to confirm this.
Right.
And he's quite a bit younger. Like, Keemstar, I believe, is, like, our age, and Leafy is, like, 25.
Right.
Trisha Paytas, have you heard of her?
I have not.
Trisha Paytas is a YouTuber who's been on YouTube forever. She used to be friends with Shane Dawson, but they have had a falling out because... Here we go. This is semi-relevant for later.
It's all context.
It's all context.
Yeah.
Shane Dawson made a documentary about Jeffree Star, and then the two of them collaborated and created a makeup palette, which sold out very quickly. Jeffree Star took Trisha Paytas on a trip to Vegas and was rude to her. She decided that she does not like Jeffree Star anymore. Shane and Jeffree have only been friends for about 3 years. Shane and Trisha have been friends for like a decade.
Right.
Shane's fiance, Rylan, has a podcast and had Jeffree on as a guest for his podcast. And for Trisha, this was the nail in the coffin, and she's cut all ties with Shane and Rylan because they had her mortal enemy on his podcast, and they wouldn't take down the episode after she asked them to.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Trisha and Ethan from H3 had fought a couple times because on the H3 podcast, Ethan had said that Trisha photoshopped her pictures for Instagram and made some very unkind remarks about her body.
Right.
So, and this was a few years ago. So he had her on his podcast, and then after they did that podcast, they decided to start a new podcast called Frenemies, where the two of them would talk about whatever. And they ended up having a lot of influence on the YouTube community and were not the main reason why David Dobrik got in trouble, but a driving force in showing evidence that he mistreated his staff and fans.
Huh.
We'll leave it at that.
Sure.
And then finally, we're going to mention PewDiePie, which is, I think he's still the top independent creator that's on YouTube with something like 50 or 60 million subs. And he does playthroughs sometimes, and then he also does like stuff where he comments on things from Reddit. But he's gonna come up later as well.
Bummer.
Do you not like PewDiePie?
I am not one of his fans, no.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, but now on to the good stuff.
Yeah, all right. We got some context.
Now we have some context. Ethan versus Keemstar. So in Bo Black's video, he does a very good job of showing everything. He goes through all the Twitter, like all the tweets, all the Twitter videos, all the podcast clips. Like he covers everything. And I'm not going to.
Well, fair enough. Like you said, that was a 5-hour deep dive.
But what I will cover is kind of the inciting incidences to their feud, some key fights that are somewhat important, and then what the most recent incident is.
Sure.
So get ready. Hold on to your butts, Dan. Okay, here's the beginning of the feud. Ethan had Keemstar on his H3H3 podcast. He was very cordial and professional to Keemstar and even friendly when he was there for the podcast.
Right.
However, when that podcast got posted on YouTube, he got a lot of backlash from his fans because Keemstar has a reputation for being evil. I don't know how else to say it. And he wrote a pinned comment on that video that said something to the effect of, I wanted to hear his side of the story. I thought he'd be an interesting guest. That's why I had him on. Blah, 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 blah. And then at the end he said, but don't worry, we hate him too. So then Keemstar was upset about this.
Right.
And he went on several podcasts and was like, I don't understand. We were cool when we were together. And then you go and you say you hate me in YouTube comments. And he was very upset about it. And he also did some Twitter stuff about that too.
Sure.
Fast forward a few months.
Okay, sure.
Oh, sorry. What? You have a question? I got answers.
No, I was going to say, I mean, but like that's, you can, if you're engaged in an interview or with a conversation with someone, you can disagree with them and not, but still have like you said, it was cordial and professional. And then they're like, okay, well, it went well or it didn't, but I still think he's a jerk, right? Like that's possible in life.
Oh yeah, I agree. Keemstar reacted. I made him a little bit more eloquent than he actually reacted. He just kept getting people to send Ethan snake emojis on Twitter.
Right.
Because he's a snake.
Sure.
And he only cares about money.
Right. Okay. I'm just like, it's like he would have to know that with his reputation that people aren't generally on his side, let's say.
Yeah, I feel like it started with a lot of this. I feel like could have been handled privately. Like he could have called him and been like, "Oh, I thought we were buds, right? I'm kind of, you hurt my feelings or whatever, right?" But neither of them approached things in that manner.
Yeah, sorry, I interrupted the story. Continue.
Okay, so we're gonna fast forward a couple months now. As you know, or as you probably have heard, I don't know if you know this or not, but it was a big deal in the YouTube community at the time. PewDiePie did a live stream where he used a racial slur in a moment of frustration and anger. And Ethan from H3 did a podcast where in a segment he condemned PewDiePie for using a racial slur, but also went on to say that it's freedom of speech, basically. That was his argument, but he took a lot longer to say it. So then on Drama Alert, there was a negative backlash to that. Lots of people were calling Ethan a hypocrite because he had, do you know who iDubbbz is?
No, sorry.
Okay. iDubbbz is another YouTube creator who used to do these things called Content Cop, where he would pick a specific channel and he would basically go through what was wrong with their content, but not in a particularly constructive criticism way.
Right. More, yeah, because I was gonna say that could be interesting because like there was those guys we were watching doing some of that stuff where it's like, okay, what's the argument? What's the what's the problems or the counter argument? But you're saying it would be more for shock value or
Yeah, it was more like a hit job.
yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Yes.
Yeah. So he did one on Tana Mojo, because iDubbbz is of the mind that you should not add power to slurs by not saying the word, and that if you just say the word, it takes power away from it and it normalizes it. So he's used a lot of racial slurs in his content.
Right.
And a clip of him saying one, I guess, found its way to Tana, and she tweeted out that iDubbbz should kill himself. So he did a content cop on her, and as part of the video, because she didn't know what he looked like or anything, he went to one of her meet and greets, stood in line, and when he got time to take the picture, he said, "Okay, say," and then he said the racial slur, and He got kicked out. So Ethan and iDubbbz are friends, and he had iDubbbz on the show to talk about that. And man, because iDubbbz feels like you shouldn't add, I guess, mystery or power to the word by not saying the word, Ethan was very, very liberal in this interview with several slurs, racist and homophobic.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah, never in a derogatory term. He just wanted to say them a bunch. Like if you listen to the clip, he just kind of says it like 5 times in a row.
Right.
So people were putting up this clip of him condemning PewDiePie for using a racial slur next to the clip of him just saying a couple slurs one after the other for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
And they were saying, "You are a hypocrite." And so then Keemstar reported on that in Drama Alert, and what he said verbatim was that people were calling Ethan a hypocrite, which I guess is the worst thing you can be called in YouTube, because Ethan flips out and like starts, I don't know, just going after Keemstar for calling him a hypocrite. It makes no sense. He was really mad about it, and Keemstar kept egging him on with Twitter videos because he makes like one a minute where he's like, "I didn't call you a hypocrite. I said people are saying you're a hypocrite. It's a different thing." And like, like, no, it's kind of the same thing. What people take away is that you think he's a hypocrite, like regardless of.
Yeah, you're editorializing this content.
Yeah. And it's really dumb. And like, as a grown-ass woman, I don't understand why Ethan couldn't just say, "Oh yeah, I could see how that could seem hypocritical. Here's what I meant."
Yeah.
Like,
Or
say, "Oh shit, I didn't realize how shitty I was being. I'm very sorry. And I could see how that sounds hypocritical. And I'm going to reevaluate how I feel about this situation," or whatever, right?
Yeah. I would just say, or just don't drop a bunch of slurs.
Or don't drop a bunch of slurs. Yeah. Maybe stop that.
Yeah.
He doesn't do it anymore. Now he just says like, he'll say like N-word, right? Which I'm like not crazy about that. Just call it a racial slur and leave it. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going after Ethan with all the vids and the hypocrisy, I guess. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't understand. He got so mad about being called a hypocrite, and I just like, no, like, is it that bad?
some people's value systems, and it's what you cherish. That you're like, I try to be impartial or whatever, or keep above board, and then you're getting called out for not doing that.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't think it's that bad of an insult. It could be like, oh yeah, you know what? I see your point of view, and you're right. I'm sorry.
And I think, were we talking about this, or I know I've mentioned this before, because slight side tangent here, but yeah, being hypocritical or being seen as being hypocritical by some of your behaviors in the past that you don't do now. People are like, well, you used to do that, and now you're condemning it. As it's like, yeah, because I've grown as a person. Which
exactly.
I think was it Adam Yauch? I want to say one of the Beastie Boys was talking about that essentially at like a talk about his career, and people were like, "Well, he used to sing about like sexist and homophobic stuff and everything," and he's like, "Yeah, we don't now," because he's like, I'm grown. Yes, I could be seen as a hypocrite, and that's not a bad thing," because he's like, I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah, people change over time.
Exactly. Right. So.
It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, because like I know I've looked back in my past and like there's stuff I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that, but I don't do that now. Yay.
Oh my God, 100% same. I'm like, I'm glad I'm not famous so that people can look up all the dumb shit that I said when I was 20.
Fair enough. But anyway, that was a side tangent about hypocrisy. So it's not terrible to be called a hypocrite, but I guess like you said, in this situation, because he was involved in these slurs that he's calling out and then doing, you were kind of being a hypocrite, bro.
Yeah, you were being a hypocrite, and that's fine. It's okay to be a hypocrite. Okay. So, that was kind of the two main inciting incidences.
Yeah.
There's lots of petty back and forth. Keemstar seems to take any opportunity to needle Ethan when he can. He brings up all kinds of dumb shit all the time, and Ethan never responds eloquently.
It just keeps Sorry.
Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say it keeps that algorithm going for them, right?
Yeah, it does feel a bit like, except like, okay, to an outsider who hasn't followed these people my whole life, it does seem like it's almost like they've found a way to keep content going for when they have slow days.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you listen to either of them talk about the other person, they talk with such like vitriol and how like this other person is genuinely trying to destroy their life, and they get upset about it. And I'm just like, you guys need to chill. It's not a big deal. So, okay. Now some interesting incidents that happened in between all the petty shit. So first, a few years before this feud started, Ethan was involved in a lawsuit concerning fair use on YouTube.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, because he was getting sued for it, basically. And he went and fought it. And he didn't, but do you know who Philip DeFranco is?
I do not.
Philip DeFranco is a YouTuber who's kind of like a dad, I guess, who does news reporting like 4 days a week, which he does cover YouTube news, but also covers like worldwide news.
Sure, kind of like investigating the news.
Yeah. He's a little bit more journalistic than Keemstar, I'll say. And he also doesn't have a reputation for being evil.
A little more impartial is what you're saying. I got you.
Yeah. So he started a GoFundMe on Ethan's behalf for other YouTubers to donate to help pay for their legal fees.
Years ago, you're saying when this happened. Yeah.
Yeah. They raised more money than they had anticipated needing, and so Ethan started a thing called FUPA that would be like a fund that helps YouTubers who are going through the same thing that he went through. Nice. However, his legal fees exceeded what they raised, and they had to end up spending some of their own money. It was in the $150,000 range.
Damn.
Yeah, they did win, but his fees weren't covered. Like, that wasn't part of the agreement.
Okay.
So, Keemstar started to criticize Fupa for not being transparent and for stopping tweeting about a year before their feud happened. And he was saying that Ethan had stolen the money, and then Ethan clarified where the money went and what happened to it and why he was no longer involved with Fupa.
Sure.
So that was one of the things. Anyways, on to the next. Some people think that Hila looks like a horse.
She's got the, what's her name? Matthew Broderick's wife.
Oh, Sarah Jessica Parker?
Jessica Parker, that's the one. I was like, I knew it was Jessica, but I was like, no, there's more words. She's got that syndrome.
I think she looks very lovely and almost statuesque.
Sure.
But she's not conventionally attractive, I guess. Like, she has very, like, pronounced cheekbones. She doesn't wear a lot of makeup. I think she's gorgeous, but, like, I could see people not finding her attractive because she's kind of outside of, like, the normal attractive, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Anyways, Keem said that he thinks that Ethan has mental health issues and he wants to help his friend out, so he started tweeting pictures of horses at him every single day. Ethan was like, I know you're doing this because you think my wife looks like a horse. And Keemstar was like, I never said that your wife looks like a horse. I just heard that you liked horses, and I wanted to cheer you up. And this continued for several months.
That's some classic trolling right there.
Yeah. That didn't really go anywhere, but I thought it was funny.
Sure.
I don't think it's fair to, like, insult Hila that way, because she's really kind of hands-off for the whole feud, like, aside from being Ethan's wife. So I didn't really think that was fair. But at the same time, I do just think it's very funny to tweet animal pictures at people.
And he's evil, so.
And he's evil, so he doesn't care.
Yeah. Doesn't have the scruples.
That's right. He's, like, sat in his evil den, and he thought all night about how to be evil more, and what he came up with was tweeting pictures of horses at people.
Yeah.
Okay, next thing. Okay, Leafy comes into the picture now. Leafy, I think this is kind of shitty. Just gonna say it right now. Leafy starts tweeting out that he thinks that Keemstar and H3 are feuding because Keemstar and Hila had an affair when Keemstar was in LA for the podcast that started this whole thing. And that Hila and Ethan's son Theodore is actually Keemstar's son, and that's why they're fighting.
Sure. So now he's getting some deep conspiracies going.
Yeah. And so Keemstar has denied it, but he'll deny it in a way that seems like he's joking.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's about as far as that went. But I just thought that was kind of shitty to, like, get involved with somebody's marriage like that.
Yeah. Plus the child.
Plus the child, right? Like, I mean, that kid can't speak yet, I don't think. I think he's only, like, 3 or whatever. But
sure.
I don't know. It's not great. And now we get into something worse. I don't want to mention this YouTuber's name because he was mentally ill and he killed himself.
Oh, bummer.
And his family have said on multiple occasions that they don't like it when other YouTubers use that as content.
That's fair.
Yeah. Not like footage or anything, but like just talking about him, right?
Yeah.
So this YouTuber and Keemstar used to make a lot of videos together. And I didn't go looking for these videos, so I can't confirm this because I didn't want to like add to any of the pain that this YouTuber's family was feeling. But basically, what people say is that he would have him on in like manic episodes, and instead of trying to de-escalate the situation, he would use it for content and encourage it.
Sure.
But again, this is speculation because I haven't seen any of the footage, and that's just second-hand information.
Right.
One of the things that Keemstar has admitted to was that this YouTuber had issues with delusion, and he thought he was in a simulation. And Keemstar said that's very like a dangerous way to think. If you're in a simulation, what's stopping you from jumping off a cliff?
Yeah.
And then a few months later, this YouTuber jumped off a bridge and killed himself. So Ethan starts accusing Keemstar of making this YouTuber kill himself, basically.
Yeah, planting the idea and the seed, as it were.
Yeah. And I think that whole situation is shitty. I think it's shitty that anybody is talking about this and that people, like including myself, which is why I'm not mentioning his name.
Sure.
But I think that if Keemstar was so close to him and knew the family, he should just stay silent about it.
Yeah.
And he should respectfully ask that Ethan respect this family.
Yeah, should be like, just don't even talk about it.
Yeah, he shouldn't be trying to defend himself. He shouldn't be going over the details again and again and again, which is what he does. And Ethan is incredibly shitty for bringing it up all the time.
Right.
That's what I think. I think it's very rude to the family. So that's a dark turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then so after that, there was some more lighthearted stuff. Ethan pirated and live streamed one of Jake Paul's pay-per-view boxing matches.
Okay.
And so Keemstar made a bunch of content about how Ethan should go to jail.
Sure.
And in one of them, he showed his desktop of his computer, and he just has files on his desktop that are like H3 crimes and stuff like that. Like it's like YouTuber's name plus crimes. Like it is a bit strange. And Ethan made fun of him for it.
Well, apparently, I mean, there are people that's what they do.
They what?
They just catalog people's quote-unquote crimes until eventually it becomes, the trending thing of the day, and then they're like, yes, I have all the content.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, they kind of did that to Lindsay Ellis, right?
Yeah.
If you're unfamiliar with what happened to Lindsay Ellis, she has a video on it, so go check that out. Yeah. So yeah, let's bring ourselves up to date with the most recent drama.
Right. So, and how long of a period was this whole drama going for?
I believe that it started in like 2016.
Wow.
So it's been about like 4 or 5 years now.
Wow. Yeah, this is some long-running stuff here.
Which means that it's been like, well, okay, it's been like 5 years. So it's been about 4 years and 11 months too long.
Yeah, because I was going to say, from what you've gleaned before you get to the most recent stuff and from what this video was showing you, it's like, do you get the sense if one of them just stopped, it would stop?
Yeah, I mean, well, kind of. There was a period when H3 just wasn't replying to stuff.
Sure.
But Keemstar just kept making videos.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what he does.
Like, about anything he could make videos about. Like,
yeah.
He does, in earlier days at least, not as much recently, he does come across as somebody like a sad ex-girlfriend. Where he just wants to be friends with Ethan.
Right.
And he does seem like he's just genuinely hurt that Ethan said we hate him too.
Yeah, I was about to say, because like I guess maybe, yeah, he felt like, oh, maybe I could be friends with these people at that podcast, and then he was like, oh no, they still hate me.
Yeah, but I think also like they just say shitty things to each other all the time, like schoolyard insults all the time.
Right.
And I feel like the way to stop it would be like, one of them has to be the adult and just be like, listen, feelings were hurt. I'm sorry for the things I said. I just don't want to do this anymore. Well, okay, sorry. One of the things is Keemstar always talks about who gets the W and who gets the L.
Right.
Like winning and losing.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, you know, just like one of them needs to step up and be like, I take the L in this feud. I don't want to do it anymore.
Wherein the reality is that they both lost.
Yeah. Well, they both lost my respect for both of them.
Yeah.
Not that that matters, but
sure.
I don't know. Like, I think they both have kids, and I'm like, when you're in 10 years, when your kids like look you up on YouTube, they're gonna see you acting like a jackass.
Yeah.
How are your kids gonna respect you? I don't know. That's kind of shitty of me to say, but it's also just, it's so petty and so childish. So let's head to our most recent, which is when Trisha steps in.
Okay.
So Trisha and Ethan had this podcast called Frenemies. And they would talk about topical things. A lot of their conversation were talking about people they don't like on YouTube. So a lot of it was both of them talking about how Keemstar is the worst person in the whole entire world and basically a modern day Hitler, and that he shouldn't have a platform. Oh, I missed something earlier.
Okay.
Ethan got G Fuel to drop Keemstar as his sponsor.
Wow.
And that was a big deal for some reason.
Well, I mean, losing any sponsorship would kind of suck.
Yeah, it would suck, but they're all millionaires.
Yeah, but you know, you gotta get all you can to save up.
That's true. Keemstar did get someone else, I can't remember who, to drop Ethan, but he got them to drop Ethan by tweeting at his fans that Ethan had this sponsor and that they shouldn't go after the sponsor to drop Ethan, so they all went after the sponsor to drop Ethan.
Yeah, that seems pretty shitty.
Keemstar is very good at plausible deniability.
Right.
He's like, I didn't say you were a hypocrite. Other people said you were a hypocrite, and I just said what other people said.
Yeah, I'm only heavily implying it and passing on those rumors.
Yeah, I never said your wife looks like a horse. I just tweet pictures of horses at you every day.
Yeah.
That's still my favorite bit. Okay. So Trisha, frenemies, they talk about people they don't like. They talked about David Dobrik and the Vlog Squad quite a bit. They talked about Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star quite a bit. And they talked about Keemstar quite a bit. Trisha has walked off of frenemies several times.
Oh, really? Just like mid-recording?
Yeah, because she's mad. And she's like, I'm never doing this podcast again. And then she'll be back the next week. But about a month or two ago, there was some issues because I don't even totally understand this, but she gets 50% of the ad revenues and the member revenues for frenemies.
Makes sense.
But it's 50% of the profit. So it's 50% of basically 95% because Ethan spends 5% on staff. I might be getting this wrong.
Sure, but there's operating costs.
Yeah. And so she was No. Okay. Sorry. Let me back up.
Okay.
The profit was about 60% of what they brought in. 25% went to operating costs and staff. And 5% went to Ethan for producing the show. And then with the remaining 60% that was profit, 50% went to Trisha and 50% went to Ethan.
Right.
And so Trisha was upset that he took an additional 5%.
That's what I say. So he's got 55, she's got 50.
Yeah. And he was like, that 5% is for producing it.
Yeah.
Because she would just show up to talk, and he did all the other work, like the behind the scenes work.
Yeah.
And she was upset about it. And she was upset that because she was only getting 50% of the profit, that she didn't have any say in the staffing, because she didn't think that the quality of the show was up to the standard she wanted it to be.
All right. I mean, legitimate grievances.
Yeah. And he didn't really handle the situation great, I guess. And her sister was involved. Anyways, it was a whole big mess. To add an extra layer of shit fuckery, Trisha is engaged to Hila's brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, like at family dinners and stuff, they would all be together for holidays and everything.
Yeah.
It created a pretty big rift between them. So Keemstar invited Trisha on his podcast, and she accepted. And because Ethan feels like Keemstar is trying to ruin his life, he took it very personally.
Sure.
Especially considering that Rylan having Jeffree Star on his podcast made Trisha cut Shane Dawson and Rylan out of her life.
Mm-hmm.
He felt like it was an attack on him, because she would have known how it would feel for her to go on his mortal enemy's podcast.
Yeah.
Which led to, so Hila is pregnant with twins, and she's having a hard pregnancy, and the doctor warned her against getting too stressed out. And Trisha was making I think she made 7 hours of content in different videos and TikToks talking about how evil Ethan was. And so Ethan's mom sent Moses a text saying that if Hila had a miscarriage, it would be because of Trisha's behavior.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's intense. And I mean, Trisha was saying some pretty shitty things too. Also, though, I'm pretty sure that Trisha has a lot of issues. Some are diagnosed and some might be undiagnosed. And I think she was going through maybe a manic phase. And she probably needs more help than she's getting, because sometimes when you listen to her talk, she sounds truly unhinged. I don't think that she was doing it out of malice. I think she was doing it out of an episode, basically. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, she just kind of felt like a need to put something out there, and then it just got escalated weirdly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she just maybe she's a bit delusional, and things were worse in her head than the words that were said.
Possible, yeah.
Yeah, anyways, so Keemstar takes this opportunity to invite her on his podcast, and she accepts. And he makes these gloating videos and tweets about how it's a massive L for Ethan. And Ethan is really upset because he's like, you're basically destroying my family now.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where we're at.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, yeah. What do you think?
I mean, it's obviously nuts, and it's kind of crazy that yeah, like I said, it's it could have probably just stopped, instead they
I
kept
know, it
on
could stop at
going.
any time.
Yeah, but it's like yeah, like it's obviously they're both trolling each other, but it's like it's obviously not good.
There is one point where, like, I thought Keemstar made a very good point. In a video, he's like, to Ethan, he's like, we need to stop this. I have nothing to lose. Everybody already thinks I'm evil, but you have this persona as, like, a good guy on YouTube. And if we keep doing this, you have everything to lose, and I have nothing to lose.
Right.
I'm like, oh yeah, that is a good point. But maybe both of you should sit down and be quiet, because like they just keep saying, like, people will be like, why don't you be the bigger person here?
Yeah.
And both of them are like, I have to defend myself. I can't just let him say defamatory things about me. And it's
right.
like, well, maybe you fucking can just do that.
Yeah, like I don't know. Again, it's such an interesting thing because I mean, like I've said before, dating myself here, like I've been around since the beginning of the internet. That It's like, yeah, people say defamatory stuff on the internet about you all the time, but I think it's obviously has changed in that people are talking about you now and like know who you are and your real name's out there, or you're doing your show. And before it was like more anonymized, right?
Oh, totally.
Like both the back and the forth. Like if someone says something to you, it's like they don't know who you are and you don't know who they are. This is obviously different because there's video content and personalities. And like you said, people have built their careers on these platforms. And we talked about this last time. We were talking about the beauty community drama. It's just like you're clearly feeding into it. Just stop.
Like it's like strange how like you make content, you get in a feud, and then all of your content becomes this feud.
Yeah, exactly. You're no longer doing what you were doing before, what made you popular.
Yeah, it's so strange. And like I also like I find it like oddly fascinating as a person who's not very confrontational by nature. Like most of the time I will find a way to de-escalate or to remove myself from a situation if I feel like it's going to be a confrontation, because I don't feel like it's worth my time or energy, especially for something that is like as petty as somebody being like, you're a hypocrite.
Sure.
Or I don't like you. I'd be like, cool. Bye.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what makes a person be like, no, I have to defend myself.
Well, and I guess I'm sorry.
I have to prove this other person wrong, right?
Well, and that's what I was saying. It's like territorial. Yes, territorial, and it's like your domain. You're like, no, YouTube is my space, and I'm gonna stand up for it. And it's like you're doing yourself a disservice, though.
Yeah, just like chill out for a week and then come back.
Sure. But yeah, and I guess it's also something like, because like you're talking about all the Twitter posts and stuff like that. It's like it all moves so fast that it just gets away from them so quickly that it's like, there's that whole thing that we saw very clearly in the last 4 years of like controlling the narrative. Like the story doesn't even matter. It's
oh
just
my
like,
God, right?
It's all about just like, oh, this is what actually is going on. And it's like, well, really, when we look back at the source material, that's not what's going on. But it's like, that was 2 days ago, and now no one cares.
Exactly. And it's also like there's a complete lack of nuance and context.
Sure.
Right? Like it's a thing you said and nothing else matters.
Yeah, or like you said, it's like, someone makes a video and they're like, person said this about me on their show, like, let's listen to the clip, and then like it's semi out of context and they're like, what a jerk and an ass, let's bring him down, and you're like, well, actually that was a part of a paragraph and he was talking about other things.
Yeah, you like can't. Yeah, you just have to be, I don't know, you just have to be really careful, I guess. It will be interesting to see how like influencer fame, for a lack of a better term, has long-term effects on people, because I think it messes with your brain.
I don't know if I wouldn't say maybe it messes with your brain in a sense, but I do agree that it changes people's perceptions and how, protective they become of, because like every time YouTube has changed its algorithms, there's huge outcry because there are people that had gamed the algorithms, and then they're like, okay, well, we're trying to change it so that doesn't happen. But then it's like people got very upset because it became their livelihood, and it's like maybe it was supposed to be more of a hobby, but it became more for people like PewDiePie and, like you said, like others, Mr. Beast and all those people, right? They stream, and it's their job, and it's good on them, but it's also, like you said, it can be snatched away.
Yeah.
And it's a fragile, fickle platform and system, right?
It can be snatched away like a G Fuel sponsorship.
Sure, exactly, right? Like, yeah, and like I don't know all the behind the scenes stuff, of course, about this, but it's like the same like Dr. Disrespect. He was a big streamer, got very big, and then Twitch. There was some stuff. There were some contracts supposedly, and then he was going this things and supposedly breaches, and now there's lawsuits, and it's just like, well, what's the real story? We don't know, but all we can do is speculate, right?
I think I mentioned earlier that Leafy has been banned from YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm currently watching a video by the same dude that's talking about like people's reactions to it.
Right.
And it's so like it's interesting because most people seem to be like, we can't stand for this because who knows who will come for next.
Sure.
And then some people are like, I've always hated Leafy. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. But that slippery slope argument's always brought out about everything, right?
Yeah. But I also find it interesting because I feel like people forget that Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram and TikTok are private companies.
Yep.
That you use for free, and they can kick off whoever they want.
Yep.
Right? Like they're like, oh, the terms of service are too vague. It's like, yeah, probably because they, if they find out that you're saying fucking racist shit every day, they probably don't want you to represent them, especially if you have a big following.
Yeah, they don't want a procedure. They're just like, and you're done.
Yeah.
At
the end of the day, like, YouTube's owned by Google. Google is a publicly traded company, and it might hurt their stock value, right? Like,
sure. And I think I was telling you a little bit about this briefly. Maybe I was listening to this thing called Rabbit Hole by the New York Times, and it had some good episodes, some bad episodes. But one of the big takeaways from it, for me, is that these larger companies, like you're saying, they're all being essentially run. What you're seeing and being suggested to and everything like that, it's all AI powered now, right?
Oh yeah.
And the algorithm and stuff like that, and like TikTok specifically is owned by an AI company in China. And TikTok is not their product. Their AI is their product.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, so it's like their TikTok is like their testing ground for their AI, right? And it's the same like, YouTube is owned by Google, and their AI is like their IP. It's what makes them more money. Like YouTube doesn't make them money. It loses them money.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just kind of like, and basically the point is, what I thought was funny is that it's like, yes, we're being manipulated or sort of by these AI system, but it's like, you can turn it off though. You are a human still and can make decisions.
Exactly.
Right. It does lead to this kind of, I can see it like you're saying with this feud, that it's like you make the reaction videos and you make the outraged reaction video and the reaction to the reaction video, and it just brings in all that, those clicks, and it brings in those views. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it sort of starts taking over your content, and you're going to lose people, but you're going to gain people who are like, oh man, this is some crazy shit.
Or you might lose subs, but you'll gain a shit ton of views because the other person, their subs will come see what you're saying about the person, Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, they'll come to see the other side, or be like, well, okay, well, what's he saying about my man?
They're like, train wreck? Where?
Exactly, and unfortunately, we love those.
Yeah, it's a strange thing.
Yeah, and it's strange for me as well, because again, I'm not familiar with many of these people. I know I've watched one, like I said, I definitely have watched one Ethan video where he went after a guy who was doing Counter-Strike gambling streams. I don't know if you've heard about this. This was, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer than that. I think it's still a thing, but you get skins in Counter-Strike, and then people would gamble them on websites for like to either gain more skins or to gain to basically, put up their skin to gain more skins or whatever kind of thing. And some of the skins can be very valuable, especially knife ones. And so he found a guy who was, doing these streams about him gambling, and he would win once in a while and win big kind of a thing. Turned out he was partial owner of the gambling website.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so it was a well-researched thing, and, I was like, okay, there's lots of facts to back up what he's saying and kind of thing. And, at the end of the day, it was kind of still ambiguous what was going on, but it was like, well, it was undisclosed that this guy gambling on this website was also partial owner of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, that was some good content, but I've never followed them beyond that.
You mean you're not an Ethan stan?
Unfortunately, I'm not, so.
You don't simp for Ethan and Ela?
I do not.
I'm just repeating terms I've heard other people say.
Fair enough. So yeah, it's interesting though. I kind of like to look at what you're saying, that they started some other content, and that's an evolution of their channel. Very cool. But then this whole feud thing sounds shitty just on both ends, and it just sounds like a nightmare to deal with.
Oh my god, yeah. I honestly, I don't know who's in the right, because I don't think either of them are.
Well, that's what I was saying. They both have lost.
Yeah.
And that
I feel like Keemstar going after Ethan's wife is shitty, and I feel like Ethan bringing the YouTuber who killed himself into it is also very shitty.
Sure.
I think those two things are the lows, the low points for both of them.
Yeah.
And they say the same thing about each other too, oh, he's just trying to deplatform people and blah blah blah, and oh, he's trying to get the sponsors taken away, and it's just oh, fuck off, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be some people have it real bad or anything, but your problems are the most first world they could be.
Sure, yeah.
Oh no, my millionaire YouTuber friend thinks that I'm a meanie. Do you have any questions that I could answer? Any points you wanted me to go over?
No, I think you did a pretty good job. I was just more kind of flabbergasted the whole time that this has all been going on.
I know, it's just stupid, right? This video affirmed to me that I am absolutely 100% in the right for not being part of Twitter.
Yeah, that was something I was, of course, going to say when you were saying all that Twitter stuff. That was just delete Twitter. It's the worst. But
yeah, there's no good comes from Twitter.
Yeah.
For anyone.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I was going to say. Compared to the beauty community drama one you kind of spoke of, there was still some products involved and some real stuff. This is all just nebulous video content, aside from, like I said, the few kind of personal attacks. But the other one was kind of more about products and things being misrepresented.
Yeah.
This is more just shitty attitudes.
Yeah, this is two children being childish and petty.
But like I was saying as well, they're trying to protect their YouTube channel.
They gotta protect that brand. I guess Keemstar's brand is being evil, so he's doing all right. Ethan's not doing as good because they think he's supposed to be a YouTube dad or whatever.
Yeah.
Dan, wouldn't it be funny if they listened to this and then they sued us? Maybe that could be our claim to fame, is that they start attacking us on Twitter.
For what, defamation?
For being, I don't know, for saying things that are true.
Yeah. Devon has reported things accurately. What?
Well, it's still me, so I probably made errors along the way, but you get the gist of it.
Sure.
Allegedly, all of this happened, allegedly. I think we're good now.
Right.
Although, both of them do seem petty enough to, search their own name and, get mad if people say unfriendly things.
because that comes up once in a while on Knowledge Fight, right? Where Alex Jones talks about something, and they're like, he literally Googles himself every day. There's no way he would not.
You know what? We just have to do more content about petty people so that they get mad at us on Twitter, and then people go download the episodes.
Sure. And then we're not on Twitter, so we don't even see it.
Yeah, we're like, who fucking cares? You're right. Yeah. We are hypocrites or whatever.
We are
literal Satan. Yep.
We are two weirdos just talking about stuff.
You're right. Neither of us are qualified to say anything.
Highly qualified.
What are your qualifications, Dan?
I like to read.
Well, that doesn't qualify you to talk about YouTube at all. That's the opposite.
Oh, true. Dang.
I guess we should wrap it up, hey?
Sure. Unless you had anything else you wanted to bring up, a point you forgot or whatever, I can wrap it up, yeah?
Yeah, you wrap it up. I think that we should do more YouTube drama episodes.
Well, I mean, I leave it up to you and your capable hands in that realm.
Ha ha ha.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. If you liked our episode, please subscribe, download, share it with others, all that good stuff. If you have any questions, comments, we have our website, tomeofuselessness.com, email, tomeofuselessness@gmail.com. Uselessness, I know I kind of ran through that quickly. Our Instagram, of course, as well, Tome of Uselessness, really hard to find.
And our Twitter.
And our Twitter, which has been deleted. And thanks, stay safe. Thanks for listening.